Today we will be discussing a topic which is importance of law in civil engineering. Now, many students would be thinking that why am I merging two streams together? Law is a different stream and civil engineering is a different stream. But many few are aware of the fact that these two streams are very much interlinked with each other and they play a very significant role. So today we will be learning about law. Now, what would be the flow of the presentation? First, we will be discussing about contract, its objects, what are its requirement for its validation. Validations means to put into effect what we need to do. And then we will come to the law part of the presentation. Law part means arbitration, which is settlement of disputes. So in arbitration, we'll cover arbitration, need of arbitration, qualification of an arbitrator, and finally would be procedure of settlement of dispute. These are the different topics which we will be covering in this presentation. So as a student, first you would be thinking that what will I gain after attending this seminar? So the takeaway of this seminar for a student's point of view would be that after the completion of this presentation, you should be able to know at least what is a contract and how to settle a dispute if it arises between two parties, right? So firstly, what do you mean by contract? So contract is nothing but it is an undertaking by a person or a firm to do work under certain terms and conditions. In simple words, contract can be defined as an agreement enforceable by law. Now, this is a small definition of three words. An agreement enforceable by law. We generally study the definition, but we are not aware of that what is the concept behind those three words. So first, we will try and understand what is the concept from which the definition is arrived. So let's take one example, and I request students as well that when I'm taking some examples, you also imagine at your own level, right? So let's take an example. There is an open plot and you are a owner of that plot and you want to construct a building. So what the first thing you will do, you will call a contractor and you will tell him that I want to construct a building. Will you construct it for me or not? Is this discussion called as a contract? No. It is called as initiation of an offer. It means I am putting a proposal to the other party that please will you construct a building for me. Now what will be the response from the contractor's side? Mostly contractor will say yes, I will construct the building. Now does that mean a contract? No, it means as acceptance of an offer. After the acceptance, it becomes clear that both the parties are ready to work together. So what they will do is they will tell chalo agreement banate hain. Now what does that agreement means? Agreement means putting all the conditions of contract on a piece of paper. That part is known as an agreement. So now where is the contract gone now? After the agreement, we send that agreement for notary. It is a common word in a civil line that once the document is prepared, notary karwa do. What does the notary means? Notary means submitting your agreement to the legal department or the legal authority of the respective area. That is the meaning of notary. And once your agreement is being signed by the notary, it becomes a contract. Now, many might feel we will prepare an agreement, two parties have to manage the contract. So we'll prepare the agreement and we will start the work. But that cannot be done because imagine after few months, there is a dispute between the owner and the contractor. then what will either of the parties say? It is a very famous dialogue. I will see you in court. So the dispute will then go to the court. But the court that time will ask both the parties that when you made the agreement, had you approached me, had you informed me that we are making an agreement? So if we have made the notary, it means that we are informing the court that yes, we are going into the legal agreement and these are the terms and conditions. So whenever there will be a dispute, the court will be able to solve the matter. This therefore a contract is nothing but an agreement enforceable by law. Javed sir, am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir, but slightly I think your voice is delayed or lagging a bit. So
Okay.
yeah.
So why? What are the objects of contract? Objects means how to go towards the contract and why one should make a contract. The first object is that to execute the work by experienced persons, right? We as a owner will always want that our work should be done by the most skilled and experienced person. So that is why we will make a contract with the best eligible contractor. Second, to execute the work with most competitive rate. Now, this word competitive rate relates to the topic tender. When you say to execute the work with most competitive rate means that that quotations will be asked from different contractors. For example, any of your relative would say you, आज BMC का contract लगा मुझे. Now what does that mean? It means that BMC had invited quotations from different contractors, and out of all those contractors, he was the most eligible contractor in terms of rate and experience. That is the significance of the point most competitive rate. It will only be done if number of competition is more. If only one contractor is there, then there would not, we will not get the competitive rate. Clear? Next, to do the work as per the drawings and specification. Now these two words you will be hearing throughout your life whenever you work on site, because the role of the civil engineer is to carry out the work as per the drawing and specification. Now, the drawings are always prepared by the architect. The drawings are not prepared by a civil engineer. You will get a specific detailed drawing. Architect will prepare that drawing and a structural engineer will give the structural details. So as a civil engineer, your work on site is, in the drawing, it is given that 6 bars of 25 mm dia are to be placed. So if anyone will come to check your work, he will just see whether the reinforcement is done properly or not. That's it. That is the meaning of you have to do the work as per the drawing. How many bars are mentioned? You have to complete the work as per the drawing. And specification. Specification is a very broader term in case of civil engineering. What does specification gives you? Specification will give you the main reason behind which you can save yourself from any fraud or scams. Now, what kind of fraud can be done? For example, if in the tender document you write down cement is to be used during the construction work. So the contractor might quote a rate for a higher quality cement, but he will not use that cement. He will bring a material of inferior quality because you have not clearly mentioned in the contract that which type of cement you want. Just see the difference between two statements. One is cement is to be used in the project, and if I write in the contract Ambuja cement grade 53 cement is to be used throughout the work. from the statement itself, it is very much clear that there is no chance for any contractor to use any inferior quality material. So by doing the work as per the proper specification, we ensure that the proper quality of the work is maintained. Next point is to use the latest machineries and techniques. Every owner would definitely want that his big project should be completed with the use of latest machineries and techniques. All the equipments which are latest available in the market should be used. For example, in case of surveying and everything, auto level or maybe GPS, all such things, total station, all such equipment should be used. Now, what are the requirements of a valid contract? First of all, what do you mean by a valid contract? A valid contract is nothing but a contract which is legally performable, right? So there are certain requirements which needs to be fulfilled before we get that a contract is a valid or not. And after explaining you these requirements, we will take a simple example of that, right? So first, contract should be in writing. Yes, in the Indian legal system, verbal communication is not considered as a proof of contract. In US and UK, even verbal communication become a part of contract. But in our system, strict instructions are there that the thing should be on paper. Only after that, sorry, only after that you would be able to challenge it in court, right? Next, subject matter should be clear and can be enforced in the court of law. What do you mean by subject matter should be clear? The words written in the contract should be such that there should not be two or three meanings or opinions coming out of a single word. So to avoid all this, a simple and clear language is always used while framing the terms and conditions of the contract. ताकि ऐसा ना हो कि कॉन्ट्रैक्टर कुछ अलग मतलब निकाले उस लाइन का, ओनर कुछ अलग मतलब निकाले एंड लास्ट में डिस्प्यूट हो. The only thing which everyone wants while the execution of contract is there should not be any dispute between the owner and the contractor, because if there is a dispute between owner and contractor, the project will get delayed and your work will not be done. That is why you see n number of projects which have started, but since 3 years, 4 years, the building is as it is, right? Next, the parties must be competent. Now, what do you understand by the word competent? Competent means whether that person is eligible for that contract or not, plus competency also includes his history of previous works. For example, if a person has done some fraud or has left any contract from between in the BNC, then he becomes a blacklisted contractor. Yes, students, whenever you also in future apply as a contractor, please make sure that whatever contract you get, you complete it only after you complete it on time, because all this will add in your profile. If a contractor is blacklisted, he cannot apply for any further contracts of that particular department. Till now, the rule is that a contractor who has made a fraud in BMC cannot apply there. But now, since they are making everything online, it is in process that a contractor who has made a fraud in XYZ department cannot apply even in the other department as well. So competency is checked clearly, and eligibility means general laws of that country. Like for example, in India, the first criteria of eligibility is that a person should be major. A minor cannot sign a contract. So he should sign his contract only after 18 years of age, right? Next, free consent of parties. Free consent is nothing but both the parties are signing the contract willingly. Means that neither party is signing the contract under any threat or pressure. That is the main reason that free consent of parties is required. If it is proved even after signing the agreement that the free consent of parties was not taken, then at the initial stages the contract becomes invalid. That is also called as void contract. So who will testify? Testify means कौन बताएगा कि whether they both were willing or not. Here comes the role of witnesses, right? So the last point is it should be attested by witnesses. Now, what is the role of a witness in a contract? The witness will just sign the contract and he is a proof that yes, both the parties had agreed to the terms and condition written in the contract. And remember one thing, always the number of witnesses are from both the parties. One witness from owner side and one witness from contractor side. So that in future, neither party can say that there was no witness from my side and I had signed the contract under pressure. So this is the general basic concept of how a contract is being made and it is put into effect. Now, let's take a simple example which many of us might have seen in our day-to-day life. For example, if you are going to buy a live-in license flat, right? So what is your process? First thing, one owner has put his property on rent, that yes, I am the owner, I want to put my property for rent. That is called as initiation of offer. Now we as interested parties will go, yes, we are interested in your property. That becomes the acceptance of offer. Then does he allow you to directly stay in his house? No. What he will do? He will tell his appropriate person that let's make an agreement, write all the terms and conditions on a piece of paper, and then we will allow you to stay here. That is nothing but an agreement, and which goes to the notary and it becomes a contract. This is a simple example which everyone faces in their day-to-day life. Am I audible, sir? Is it
Yes,
clear?
sir. Yes, sir, it is clear.
Yeah. Yeah, this is nothing but about the entire contract. चलो एक बार contract मिल गया, काम चालू हो गया. But what you see in a city like Mumbai is majority projects are only partially completed. What is the main reason of that? One reason is the dispute between owner and the contractor. If there is a dispute, contractor says, मुझे काम नहीं करना है जब तक मेरा इतना बिल पास नहीं होगा. And owner says, I will not pay you until you work. And here is the dispute. And the other point is shortage of finance. That I will discuss later when I will come towards the RERA part. So the first reason for which the buildings are left incomplete is the dispute between owner and contractor. Now, whenever there is a dispute, the general tendency is the owner or the contractor, any one party will go to the court and they will file a case of being cheated by the other party. Now, what happens in court is when you go to a district court, when you go to a city court, from there, judge will give a result and the other party against whom the result will come, he will appeal in the higher court. Same will happen in the session court, then the other party will go in the high court. And then from high court to the Supreme Court. Due to such delay, the project life gets fully deteriorated. For example, there is a dispute in a project in the year 2006 and the case takes 10 years. Will the builder be able to work at the same rates agreed in the terms and conditions? Definitely no. And this is the main reason that the projects which stop at some point very few chances are that later on it gets completed, because the profitability ratio of that entire project is. So just to avoid that thing, in the year 1996, the Indian legal system came up with a Arbitration and Conciliation Act. Now, what is this act about? This act says that the dispute between the owner and the contractor can be settled outside court. Yes, the dispute can be settled outside court, but still the decision of this process is legally binding on both the parties. Though it is called as out of court settlement, but you cannot challenge that court. There is only one case in which you can challenge, right? So first let's study what is arbitration. Arbitration is nothing but the process of settlement of dispute between the owner and the contractor, and the person who does this settlement is called as arbitrator. So first, everyone will be thinking who can become an arbitrator, because right now the projects which are at halt are more than projects which are working, right? So what is the qualification which is required for an arbitrator? First we will study this qualification of an arbitrator. An arbitrator must have expert knowledge in branch of dispute. Now, what do you understand by branch of dispute? Branch of dispute means if it is a building related project, it means that he must have an expert knowledge of civil engineering background. So he may be a civil engineer or he may be a architect, right? Second, he should have degree of law, means he should be a lawyer and should be able to solve the entire problem or entire dispute in a legal way. And next, high integrity, unshakable faith and unquestionable character. It means that the arbitrator to whom we are referring should be an unbiased person, impartial person. So now how will you identify whether this arbitrator is impartial or not? So to check that, we will see his previous judgments. Suppose someone has appointed me as an arbitrator. So what are my judgments and whether all these judgments have been challenged or accepted by both the parties. So from that point, you can easily come to know that whether the arbitrator is impartial or he is or he is not proper, right? So now I will explain you the entire process of settlement of dispute by arbitration. So first point is appointment of arbitrators. Now you have seen that what are the qualifications which are required to be an arbitrator. So now we will take one example and understand this entire procedure, because this is the most important part of settlement of dispute, because whenever there will be a dispute, this is the way in which it is being solved on site. So first is appointment of an arbitrator. Arbitrators are appointed based on their qualifications, and remember one thing, an arbitrator has to be mutually appointed by both the parties, because he would be a single person who would be giving judgment on the entire case. So it is a very difficult thing that both the parties having dispute will agree for a common arbitrator, because whichever party will bring him, the other party will have a question on his integrity. So what is generally practiced is one arbitrator is appointed by the owner, and another arbitrator is appointed by the contractor. Yes, the dispute is between the owner and the contractor. Both the arbitrators have no dispute. They are colleagues and they will appoint a third arbitrator, which becomes a chief arbitrator. So the arbitrator from the owner's side will play the role of his lawyer, and the arbitrator of contractor side will play the role of his lawyer. So in this way, arbitrators are appointed. Always the total number of arbitrators have to be in odd number so as to make a clear judgment. Because at the end, when the entire case is over, the opinions of all the arbitrators are being taken, and finally the judgment is given. So this was about appointment. Next is preparation of case. Now, as you see in the legals in High Court, Supreme Court, that lawyers prepare for their case and they give their argument. Similarly, in arbitration process also, the lawyers are given, arbitrators are given sufficient time so that they prepare their entire case, put it on a legal paper, and then they give it to the chief arbitrator. So after the preparation, a suitable date is given for the hearing of the case. Now, on this date, the chief arbitrator will hear the arguments of both the arbitrators, one from the contractor side and one from the owner side, right? And once we use the word date, majority people will think that in court you see that generally dates are given. A case is extended for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. This is not the case in arbitration. In arbitration, the decision of the arbitration process is taken in 3 to 4 hearings at max. So all the data which both the arbitrators have, they have to put it initially on the piece of paper, because in a construction matter there are no further developments. The points on which you are fighting is that which has been already done. So they discuss this case for 3 to 4 sessions, and then the final award is being issued. Award issued means judgment has been given. Now every time the judgment will be such that it would favor one party and the other party will feel defeated. Now if someone questions, sir क्या अगर वो chief arbitrator ही मिला हुआ है, right? This also might be a case. So there is the last option which is given in the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996, which is filing of the award. Now what do you mean by filing? Once the award is being issued, suppose I am the defeated party, I have the right to appeal only once to the arbitration tribunal. That is why I skipped one slide. See this. What is the need of arbitration? Arbitration is needed for fair resolution of a dispute by an impartial tribunal. Now, what is this arbitration tribunal? Arbitration tribunal consists of the bench of judges of Supreme Court. So when a issue is filed, it means that the Supreme Court will study the entire matter. The Supreme Court judges will study the entire matter and they will come to a conclusion that whether the decision of the arbitrator was correct or not, right? So in this, there is no session court, high court. It is directly one arbitrator and the another Supreme Court benches. So once you appeal to that, and yes, the period in which you can appeal is only within a period of 90 days. It is not like आज judgment आया 2 साल बाद you realize नहीं ये गलत हो गया and you go and appeal in the, which generally happens in High Court, Supreme Court. In arbitration, you only have a period of 90 days in which you have to file your report that yes, I want to challenge decision of their arbitrator. So the Supreme Court bench will study the matter and give the judgment. And the if the Supreme Court gives the judgment that yes, the decision of the arbitrator is correct, then the decision will be stayed. Otherwise, if it reverts the decision, then that decision will be followed. It is just an example of your cricket match. If an umpire makes a mistake, you always go, all the batsmen have the tendency that they go for a DRS. But once the third umpire gives the final decision, then even though there might be error of technology or anything, but the batsman cannot challenge that decision. Similar is the case here. Once the Supreme Court decision is out, you cannot challenge the judgment of that judgment. And how to find this point, whether the arbitrator is of high integrity, unshakable faith and unquestionable character. If I want to appoint an arbitrator, I will appoint such an arbitrator whose verdicts are challenged in a minimum way. कोई आर्बिट्रेटर है जिसका जजमेंट दोनों पार्टीज रेगुलरली मान लेती है और वो चैलेंज ही नहीं होता है, then he is a impartial and unbiased arbitrator. So majority of the people would prefer such kind of arbitrator. So this was entire about the arbitration process, that in case if there is dispute between the owner and the contractor, then in such a way you can resolve that. And last topic is RERA, because majority projects have stopped, means prior project were stopped, therefore the government had to bring the rule of RERA. RERA is nothing but Real Estate Regulatory Act. What does that mean? RERA means that if a builder wants to start a construction process, then minimum some amount has to be deposited in the bank account. Plus, if 10 purchasers come and purchase the flats in his project, this is a practical thing which I am telling you. Previously what used to happen is 10 लोगों ने बिल्डिंग में फ्लैट खरीदा, they have purchased the flat in a particular building. So they have given the money to the builder expecting that the builder will complete the project on time. But what the builders used to do, the builders used to use that money in buying another project. This is the main reason that majority projects are pending right now. So that is why RERA was put into effect, that money which is being given for a particular project has to be used in that project only. The builder cannot directly use the money of a purchaser without showing his details in the RERA department. This is the main point of bringing RERA into effect. So this was the basics of contract and disputes which occur on site. So now I put the question, now I put the forum for any questions from your side.
Thank you, sir. Any student who has any questions, they can raise their hand. And then we can make him available. Yes, Amin Khan, do you want to ask a question? Junaid sir, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can they type the question in the chat box?
Yes, sir. They can.
Okay. So anyone who wants to ask any question, who has any queries, they can type the question in the chat box or they can raise their hand. And in the meantime, the link has also been provided to you. So please go through the link and submit the quiz as soon as possible.
Hello.
Okay, so I think I have got one question, sir. Can you tell something about MahaRERA? Is one question.
Yeah.
Some information about MahaRERA.
Yeah. Yes, MahaRERA is nothing but it is an application of RERA into the state of Maharashtra. That is why it is called as MahaRERA. All the rules and regulations of the RERA Act are applied to the state of Maharashtra as well, and the Maharashtra government has given it the name as MahaRERA. So all the things which I said, the builder has to deposit a certain amount, he cannot use the money of a particular project, for buying any other thing, all these rules are applicable in that.
Okay. So we have got one more question from Bhavik.
Yeah.
He's asking, to construct a building in funnel zone, what are the laws to be followed and where we can access to these information?
All the legal laws are available in the Contract Act. You have to go through the Contract Act for constructing in a special conditions like tunnel or anything, and from there any special construction
Hello?
you can get it from there.
Yes,
Hello,
sir. Your
voice
actually
is not
not cutting, but it's very fast.
okay. If you want to do construction of a, now it is clear, sir?
Yes, now it's clear.
Yeah. If you want to do construction of any special project of which general terms and conditions are not available, then you have to just refer the guidelines of the basics Indian Contract Act. So from that you will get all the terms and conditions from of the construction.
Okay, sir. Thank you. And one more question we have from Saurabh Mane. He's asking, what is a tender?
A tender, a tender is nothing but a invitation to different contractors to carry out a work. Generally we speak, आज पेपर में टेंडर निकला है, इतना काम बाकी है, इतना काम निकला है बीएमसी में. Now that tender is nothing but an invitation to work on, and in that tender all the terms and conditions are available.
Okay. So we have got a question from Ram sir.
Yes.
He is asking, can tenancy, pagdi type, also go for arbitration or legality?
If certain amount of years are being fulfilled, then yes, pagdi go for arbitration, because if they have not left their land, it means they have their right, and no builder can take their right away from the tenants. So definitely you can go against the builder in case of pagdi. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And can we take one more question?
Yes. No issue.
Yes, from Shoaib. Respected sir, if the arbitrator decision was proved wrong in the court, then is there any punishment for him or not?
No, there is no punishment. The only thing is, if an arbitrator whose 2 or 3 decisions are being reverted, then you will only not go towards that arbitrator, right? If that's why I gave a simple example of a cricket field, that if the decision of the umpire is being changed by the third umpire, there is no penalty on the existing umpire. But if he repeats those mistakes, then he will be removed from his panel.
Okay. And Anas Kazmani is asking, where can we find the Contract Act? Is there any official website?
Yes, there is Indian. You type it Indian Contract Act. The first link which will open will be your official website only, after the advertisement and all.
Okay. Junaid sir, can we take some questions or?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can.
Okay. So last question I'll take from Abdullah. Sir, why did it take? Just a second.
Yes, sir. You can take more questions as well.
Okay. So Abdullah is asking, okay. Why did it take it so much time for the government to initiate RERA, even though there were persisting problems?
Now the number of cases had increased. That is why the RERA came into existence. Otherwise, initially till 2010, it was considered as the golden period of builders, because any project they will construct, it was sold off easily, and that is why there were no such disputes arising. Small disputes might be arising, but the entire project was not put at halt. But after 2009-10, you will see that many buildings are such that it is being there since 8 years, 10 years, and no further development is there. And that is why the RERA Act came into existence.
Okay, so we have one more interesting question. What are the benefits of pursuing LLB after BE Civil?
The main benefit is that if you become a contractor on your own, at least you will be able to sorry, you will be able to identify that whether the other person is doing any fraud with you or not, because you know all the terms and conditions and all the laws. Plus, if you have a LLB background, then definitely you can qualify for becoming an arbitrator in future. It is not that easy that as soon as you complete your law, you become an arbitrator. But after 2-3 years of experience and one exam you need to pass, after that, even you can be appointed as a arbitrator in certain cases.
Okay. Continuing with the same question, what if a project is not been finished in a given time? After that, RERA has given builders some extra time to complete the work and the project is still not completed. What action can be taken?
The tenants can go to the court and they can obtain a penalty from the builder. Because if you read that agreement, the RERA Act itself mentions the penalty clause that suppose if June 2020 is given as the deadline, then the builder has to give in writing that if the project is not completed till June 2020, then per month this much I will have to pay to the tenants. Yes, that is the reason why you can definitely go to the court if the deadline is not met.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. It was a wonderful session.